with Everton. Doing you back, it's the 28th of January 2023, and actually we haven't come back for the Capital Cup semi-final second leg against Chelsea. I'll get into that in a second. But we are at home to Hull in the league, which hopefully is a winnable game. I'll see what we can do in it, and hopefully we can get back, because we've had a tricky period. Like the last 2 months or so, the December and January months have been actually very difficult in terms of the fixtures played. We've coped okay with them, I suppose, but not as good as I'd hope. I have to say. So getting into it, that was our last live commentary, the 2-2 draw at home to Charlton, which was disappointing in itself. Although at least 1 point is better than 0 points, but we should have won the game. And we kind of continued our frustrating form at home to Newcastle, where we drew only 0-0. Now in this game, we really should have won the game. There was no two ways about it. Only one clear-cut chance, and they had one clear-cut chance each. Hit the woodwork twice each. But we had 6 half chances, but we couldn't really. We just couldn't find the back of the net, and we didn't create too much, as it's seen there, from the clear-cut category, but having that many half chances and kind of snippets of chances and not to convert any of them was disappointing, considering they didn't create too much, and as you can see, their defence had all good games. James Few winning the man of the match. He's a half-decent right-back for them, but it was disappointing that we couldn't pick up a win, because we really should have. We should have won the game. And I kind of came away from the game feeling a little bit aggrieved. Then we travelled away to the Etihad to play Manchester City. And there was a mistake on my part in this game, which I've got to hold my hands up to. And this was that by accident, and I stress by accident, I picked Ryan Wilkinson in goal instead of Andre Blake. Now, I know I've done that before. No, because Wilkinson, I think, has played more games this year than Andre Blake. But that's because I went on a bit of a hatred of Blake in the early part of the season. And Wilkinson played a few decent enough games. But of course, he did concede 5 away on the road to Chelsea and same at Villa. But he started in this game completely by accident and kind of slipped through the net, really. And after 13 minutes, we were 2-0 down. Mario Icardi and Nahuel Leva made it 2-0. Carlos Soto made it 2-1 in the 16th minute to give us a sliver of hope for Leva again in the 31st minute, and Icardi in the 39th minute made it 4-1 to Manchester City. And it was at this stage because they were decent enough goals, but when you go into the player stats, only 3 clear-cut chances each, 2 half chances each as well. So it was disappointing. It really was, because they actually didn't even score from it. I think they only scored 2 of their goals were from clear-cut chances. It was just really piss-poor keeping from Ryan Wilkinson, even though it doesn't really reflect in a 6.7 rating. But as you can see, we subbed him off at the 39 minutes. That wasn't because of injury. That was because I was getting very pissed off at him. And as you can see, we didn't concede a goal for the rest of the game. Andre Blake kept a clean sheet when he came on. Carlos Soto did manage to bag himself a second goal in the 71st minute to make it 4-2, to add a tinge more respectability to the overall result, but nonetheless a disappointing defeat on the road. We then we travelled to the QPR Stadium to play QPR in the FA Cup third round, and we managed to pick up a nice 2-0 win, and it was a very hard fought win as well. Shanley Finlay picked up an injury in the 25th minute, which ruled him out for I think 3 weeks at the time. He's going to only be making his kind of return to the first team today. Isaiah Brown did manage to score. We managed to get a controversial penalty in the 47th minute, which Brown converted, and Soto added another one 3 minutes later in the 50th minute to give us a 2-0 advantage. Denswell did get sent off with over half an hour to go. So it was a little bit of a touch-and-go scenario for that last 33 minutes. But nonetheless, it was an excellent performance on the road and a good, solid win and through to the FA Cup 4th round. We then played again on the road, this time at the Britannia Stadium against Stoke back in the league, and we picked up a priceless victory this one. Stoke they have been underperforming this year in the league, but to win at the Britannia Stadium is really a big feat, and we won it quite comfortably as well, 2-0. Isaiah Brown scoring in the 38th minute before a rare goal from rare starting Aaron Puente who is one of the most frustrating players you'll ever come across in Football Manager, because he's got bags of potential, he's got bags of ability, but he's injury prone. And if we have a look at his injuries, all of these 2 days, 7 weeks, 3 weeks, and 3 months have all come since taking charge, since me taking charge, which has only been just over a calendar year now in game. And he's been ruled out for at least 6 months of that. But he wasn't ruled out throughout the whole summer, so add another 2 months to that. So he's only been really available for selection probably 3 of the 12 months I've been in charge. Carlos Soto did pick up an injury late on, but it actually didn't equivalent to anything, which was lucky on our point of view. From our point of view, as you can see from the match statistics, we were clearly dominant and a very solid performance away from home. We then played though at home to Chelsea in the Capital Cup semi-final, first leg, and we blew it in this tie, really losing the game 2-0, which meant I didn't really want to come back to the second leg because I knew there was going to be nothing in it for us. So I'm sorry, because I did say I would come back for it, but it was just the way it kind of panned out in the first leg, and it's a disappointing result as well, because we had a fair amount of possession, 52% of the ball, and we had a fair few shots, but 0 clear-cut chances, as you can see here. 3 half chances, but they had 5 clear-cut chances and 2 half chances, so they had a lot going for them, rather. And they should have put us to the sort of bit more than the 2-0 scoreline in the end. In the end, it was only probably 3 or 4 minutes that we switched off in the second half. Right at the end of the first half, Oscar scoring in the 43rd minute and Dwayne McCammon scoring in the 2nd minute of injury time of the first half to give us a 2-0, to give them a 2-0 win, which really left us in the lurch because there was no way we were coming back from that. But between those 2 games, we did have to travel to the Medeski to play Reading in an FA Cup 4th round tie. Now Reading, I think, are they're 11th in Sky Bet League 1, so they're not the best team, but Reading are Reading. They're still a relatively big, reputable club. And we kind of limped over the line a little bit, winning 2-1. Isaiah Brown opened the scoring in the 14th minute before Greg Sampson's own goal made it 2-0 after 35 minutes. Steve Roberts did pull him back in the 78th minute, and that made it a very touch-and-go last 12 minutes, really. There was a goal I didn't really want to concede because it made things a lot harder than they probably needed to be. But still, we did deserve to win the game. It was just we made it a little bit harder for ourselves than I suppose we should have. Then we travelled to Chelsea with a 2-0 defeat already in the first leg, so we had to win by 2 goals, and that was just never going to happen, and we ended up losing the game 2-1. Eden Hazard scored from the penalty spot in the 30th minute after Corchia had fouled. I think he fouled Hazard. Hazard stepped up to take it, and Dwayne McCammon scored again, this time in this leg as well, in the 60th minute. And it was a Maicon own goal in the 68th minute, which gave us our solitary goal of the game. As you can see from the match stats, we didn't even record a shot on target from our own point of view. It was just the own goal that got us that goal. 1 clear-cut chance this time around, but it was a poor enough performance all round. And it means we crashed out of the Capital Cup at the semi-final stage, which is disappointing. Luckily, though, we are still in the FA Cup, and we drew Wolves at home in the FA Cup 5th round, which should be actually it's a winnable tie. It really is, and hopefully we can advance a few more rounds in the FA Cup, so we can have cup runs in both competitions, because that's always quite exciting. In the league, though, as you've seen kind of there, we've been a little bit inconsistent. Definitely more so than we have been. And we've dropped down to 6th subsequently, which is actually not really a fair indication of where we should be, because if we win our game in hand over Man U and Spurs, we hop back up to 4th place. We have dropped off, though, where we were in the last episode, I suppose. We're 6 points off City. We're 8 points off Villa, but we have 2 games in hand, and we're 14 points off Chelsea, but they've played the same amount of games. They've won 17, drawn 4, and lost 1. The loss being away at Hull 4-3, who we're actually playing today, so we've got to be a little bit wary of Hull. Yeah, so Chelsea have really been kind of the main dogs of the division, I suppose, and have subsequently ran away with it. Really, they're 6 points ahead of Villa with 2 games in hand on them, so it's kind of happy days for them. Portsmouth are making a little bit more of an effort. They've won their second game of the season and are up now to 13 points, only 6 off the drop now, so they're making a little bit of a fist of it here. Not a bad little month they had so far in January. In terms of the transfer market, of course, the transfer market is open and there has been plenty of activity. Going out, we got rid of another set, I suppose, of the deadwood we were left when we entered the club. Julian Dessart being one of these, he left to Watford for 2.5 million, and Diego Laxalt moved to Norwich for 2.6 million, and Marco Lavaggia left to Empoli for 6 million. Now I think this is going to rise, I think, to 7.5 based on certain clauses within his contract. Ideally, I probably wouldn't have let Marco Lavaggia go, to be honest, but I didn't really see where he was fitting in the team, and therefore there wasn't much point in keeping him around. He was getting a little bit annoyed that he wasn't playing, and I wasn't being able to kind of give him that first team football because we've got that kind of fantastic threesome up front of Finlay, Brown and Soto. He wasn't breaking into that, and I don't think he ever will unless those guys go. So that's why he headed out. 2 guys already come in. Park Jin Sung for 240k from Suwon Samsung. He's a South Korean and he hasn't made a full international cap yet, so I was actually quite shocked that we managed to get a work permit for him. But he's an excellent player, an absolute steal at 240 grand. He's a defensive midfielder, can also play in the centre midfield, but based on those stats, he looks like he could be groomed into an excellent centre back as well. So we might have a look into that in the future. So he won't be playing, I don't think, too much. Halfback is his best position. If you have a look at his best midfielder position, it's bowling midfielder defence, which he's actually decent enough at. So he might play the odd game off the bench, but he's really a potential signing. He's only 19 years old, and you can't ask for much more than that at that sort of price. The other guy coming in was a fairly hefty fee, again for our standards, 5.75 million. Not all up front, I think around 3 million up front, because realistically the club isn't in a financial state to offer 5.75 million up front. And we brought in another little piece of Aston Villa that I'm bringing with me. I'm slowly but surely assembling the squad I was beginning to assemble at Villa, but this time now at Everton. I brought in Paulinho for 5.75 million. He was on the transfer list. Now, we came in around 13 days ago in game, but hasn't been able to make a start because the 3 games we've had since then have all been in the cup, and he is cup tied. But nonetheless, he is an excellent player. He is on 50 grand a week, which is a bit steep. I ideally would have liked for a smaller wage bill or a smaller wage that he'd be on, but he is a cracking player. He's going to be playing in midfield. We've, as a deep line playmaker, defend. We've swapped up the roles a little bit. I'll show you in a sec in the tactics. So the bowling midfielder defend is now a deep line playmaker defend, and he is slotting in there. He had a little bit of stability, probably a little bit better than the likes of James McCarthy. Anyway, player statistics. Last thing we'll do before we go into the game. Top scorer, Soto with 20. Brown's got 16, Finlay with 11. Provider, Finlay with 13, Soto with 8, Tillmans with 8. Average rating, 5 best are Finlay, Puente, Soto, Tillmans and Brown. So not bad whatsoever. Tillmans is out injured today as well, which is disappointing. So the team we've gone for today is Blake in goal, back 5 with Kolasinac, Denzel, Besic, Maximovic and Corchia, Paulini and Galloway, and Finlay playing off Brown and Soto. As I said though, this is Finlay's first game back for a long time. Paulinho, can he get any better number than 23? You can get number 9. He's not really a number 9 though, is he? So we'll give him 23. And see how he does there. He's of course making his full debut today. Because, as I said, this is the first league game we've actually had since he signed. So it's going to be interesting to see how he can perform. Hopefully he can do a job. He looked promising at Villa. I never actually really got to give him a go, but he did look promising. And I was looking forward to starting to use him, of course, before the shocking sacking that I received. Anyway, game has started here, and Galloway with a few early tackles under his belt already. I think the 3D highlights are still on. I'll just have to check that. Yeah, they are. So they should be working today, hopefully. Hopefully there is a goal, though, to show in 3D. As the first 20 minutes have drifted by fairly poorly. As I said, our Premier League form has been a little bit inconsistent, if you ask me. It could be better. It could be much better. But then again, it could be much worse. But we could do with stringing a few wins together, because we've got another tricky little phase coming up soon enough. As Carlos Soto, it's the bar or the inside of the post, comes back out. Nobody can capitalise on the second chance. Still 0-0. But there is another little tricky phase coming up. But we do manage. I think we have 2 or 3 games right now which we could really do with winning. This being one of them, at home to Hull. It's down. If you want to finish in kind of European spots, at home to Hull is down as a must win. But not if you're going to do that, Andre Blake. That's a shocking kick. He's been a little more solid than Ryan Wilkinson, but definitely not watertight, that's for sure. I'll probably be shopping in the summer, especially if we do qualify for a European competition. I'll definitely be actively shopping for a keeper in the summer. Because even though we do have 3 guys who on paper should be good enough, like the 3 of them, to complete a Premier League squad, none of them actually really... Oh, fuck's sake. Fuck off! It's exactly like the Charlton game, where we've really had much more of the ball, much more shots, but they get the goal, and suddenly now we're scrambling for that goal, which is annoying. It really is annoying to be behind, but again, we didn't take our chances when we've had them, and it's going to make this tie a lot harder than it needs to be. It's one of those annoying ones where Kolasinac has put in a good tackle, but it rolls across the face of the goal, and Rubio's got pretty much an empty net to hit it into. Andre Blake doesn't do the best I've ever seen in goal, but oh, fuck's sake. We don't have anybody who can play there, so we're going to have to put in Aaron Puente there and see what he can do. He's not exactly watertight defensively, but at least he might give us an option or 2 on the wing. Paulinho does well there. Soto's running after to follow, does well though. Ince, that is shocking. Absolutely shocking defending. And we definitely should be 2-0 behind in this game, but that was a terrible effort by Persic, or whatever his name is, up front. But this past 5 minutes or so, we've been at 6s and 7s, and I thought Besic was going to be sent off there for a second. He went wildly into a challenge, and he's already on a yellow card. I don't think our defence is just not sharp enough. I'm not sure whether I went through this in the last episode, but there's just no leader. There really is. There's no leader which is kind of calming the guys down and leading from the front. Your Vincent Kompany, your Nemanja Vidic character. There's none of them at the moment. I thought Stefano Denswil might be able to do it, but he's been the dodgiest of nearly all of them. As Aaron Puente, that is one of the best crosses you'll see, and Carlos Soto, when you provide a chance like that, is just not going to miss. Finley does really well here, but he's tackled by Ince, but Puente manages to take a touch before delivering a delicious ball in, and Soto manages to get there on the volley to level the game 1 apiece just before half time. A crucial goal. That's a nice goal, even though that goal doesn't mean they'll escape the hairdryer treatment at half time, but nonetheless an excellent time to get a goal. Does mean that we only need 1 more to go ahead now. We're not still scrambling at 1-0 down. Although unfortunately the thing, of course, in the Charlton game was we did manage to equalise, and then we immediately conceded again. Now, at least that hasn't happened today. Well, we might still concede, but at least we haven't conceded immediately. Because they look dangerous. And look, here they are. Rubio's in. Oh, God, if they had any sort of finishers, they'd be 3 or 4-1 up here. No two ways about it, to be honest. We have just not turned up, and what are we going to do? We're going to bring on Marcelo Baragatti for Shani Finley, who really has looked very out of touch since his return today. Baragatti, he can kind of play behind the striker, not his... Well, bloody hell, Portsmouth are 1-0 up on Manchester United. What a performance from Portsmouth. Imagine if last place Portsmouth could pull that off. Paulinho now, who's not been overly overwhelming today. Baragatti. He's got some space to run into on this flank. Can he whip a good ball in? He can do so. Soto! Bloody hell, he has been our saviour on so many occasions this year, and today is just no different. We move up to 4th place. It's Baragatti this time who makes the run down the wing and kind of, again, puts in a delicious cross. This time on the half volley, Soto pops it home. A clever finish, a top finish from a top striker, which gives us now a 2-1 lead, and we're in a good position now. If we can just manage to get through this game with winning, that's definitely not for sure here because there's still a minute to go. But Paulinho with an excellent tackle, and hopefully Baragatti could be in here. We could make it 3 if he finishes well. He doesn't do so, unfortunately, but at least that's wasted a bit more time, which means the 2-1 win is hopefully inevitable now. Hopefully, I do stress. Here's Rubio. Ince. Oh no, Rubio. It's 2-2. Oh, bloomin' heck. That is a howler. Really, they should have won this game, Hull. Based on the actual clear-cut chances, and they were just one-on-one clear-cut chances as well. They really should have won the game, but we've taken our chance today. Carlos Soto has really dug us out of a bit of a hole there, getting 2 wonderful goals from 2 good crosses from Puente and Baragatti, possibly the 2 underrated players in our squad, I'd have said. Corchia is out for 4 to 5 weeks. That is ideal, isn't it? And Paulinho didn't play too well either. 6.8, I suppose not too shabby. He brought it up a little bit near the end. Anyway, the next episode will be in around a month's time. So we'll come back for the Norwich game away from home. So we've got a handful of games, probably around 5 up until then. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. I'll see you guys later. Bye.